Okay, welcome Strategy Battle Gamers to another GBHL YouTube video. You're here with your host GBHL Damian, and this is my hobby vlog number 19. I missed one last week, but I've got a fair bit to show you this week of what I've done the last fortnight. So first up is this, which is my latest 4Ground house. Now my last hobby vlog, you would have seen this partly assembled, but it is now completely finished. It's quite a big one. It's one of the dockside dwellings. So you can have a look at this. So first off, it's one of the ones that comes with a little staircase. An external staircase that leads up to this first floor door. These little pieces, which are very cool themselves. Like that. And like all the other 4Ground houses, this one's one of the big ones. It's got 4 stories on it. We've got these new chimneys that were part of the dockside dwellings. And you saw over on this one a few weeks ago that I had that. I assembled it like that, and it's basically it's a new chimney sprue, so you've got lots of options of quite how you build your chimney. So I have done that. Then this top part of the roof lifts off to reveal the attic and the kind of first floor, which has a ladder dropping down. You see all this kind of cool detail as always inside the attic, which is quite nice. Then it's got this detail on the little window as well, which is kind of cool. Then the roof lifts off like that. It gives you this piece, so you can see all the kind of detail on this. Like that. And then that gives way to the first floor. There's the ladder. I've got this. That was the door that the stairs lead up to. So you come up here, push the door open, and be into the first floor. That, which is kind of cool. And this door, of course, as always, opens. Lifts up, put a ladder through there as well, and then that just leaves the bottom floor. Like that. And this door that opens up. That's kind of cool indeed. So there are the finished constituent parts of that building. So that's 7 houses I now assembled, which only leaves me with this one more dockside dwelling, and then the big boy, the city watchtower, which I'm kind of dreading. So not quite sure when I'm going to assemble these. I've got a fair bit of painting to do at the moment, so I'm not desperate to jump into another one, but it's been fun doing this. But anyone's been watching the last few hobby vlogs where I assembled a couple of these buildings, and some of the older ones where I assembled the buildings will know that occasionally you have a bit of a problem. And I'll try and illustrate it with this small house. It's going to be hard to actually show you this, but if you don't, because there's so little margin for error, if you assemble the roof at a slight angle, then what you can end up with is this. And hopefully you can see that this should be flat, and you can see the roof's kind of slanting down. Yeah, and the reason for it is that basically you can see here how the house hopefully slots inside here, but it won't then slot inside on this side. Yeah, so it fits in there, but it's a bit too wide here because somewhere along the assembly path I just laid something slightly off kilter. It's all right. I mean, if I just put that on the table, I don't think most people would notice. You know, not a lot of people would know that anything wrong with it. You can kind of fudge it by doing that. But it's clearly not down as far as it's meant to be. So, what you and I was a bit annoyed about it, but what I've decided to do is fiddle with it a bit, and it's happened on 4 of my buildings, and I'll show you what I've done. So it happened on this one, and if I lift this off here, what I've done is this. You see those bits that have been cut away? Like that. And if I come down here, you can hopefully now see that that bit isn't as thick. Yeah, so I've cut these that used to go up to the top, and I've cut those bits away to make it flush out to that wall. And what that means is that this now sits on top perfectly well. So I've done it there, and it actually happened on this one, which is a bit harder to do because it had these extra thick panels on. So I've cut all these bits away here, which then means that this sits on here perfectly well. Wherever possible, if you imagine that's the front, I always try and cut it away from the back, so I've done it on the back wall there. See it in there. And normally, when you then assemble the houses, it covers up most of this, and this one had the same thing done with this level. So you can see the panels here that I've had to cut away. Now, as soon as you put the piece back on, as you can see, the vast majority of it is covered up. you can't kind of see it, and it makes the whole thing look a lot better. But that said, it's still ever so slightly detracting and a bit of a problem. So what I am going to do is I'm going to paint those strips up. I'm just going to add a little, very, very quickly, just a bit of scorched brown, a bit of bestial brown, Gawthor brown maybe, and just tidy those up. I'm not too fussed about matching the colours, but I'm just going to make something that kind of covers this, and so it draws us attention to itself. So I'm going to have a go at doing that, and then once that's done, I will show you the results. But it's a minor bit of work, but I think it will be well worth it in the long run to make these buildings really look as they were intended. And yeah, so as you can see, I've got another 3 of these upstairs, and I'm building up quite the little town. So I'm going to tidy those up, and I might show you the results when I have done that. Okay, and here we go. Here it is after the painting. So if I just pick this up now, this one under here has been done. Under there. And as you can see, I'll show you it painted in a minute, but you can't really see any kind of issues there. This one has been painted under here, and again, doesn't stand, certainly you wouldn't notice from here. And this one has been done under there. And finally, this one, which needed the most work, has been done under there. I suppose that's the roughest looking one, but that's because I have to cut more of the MDF out. And there we go. Sorry, that's on. That one looks like that. I'll now lift them all off. See what they look like. So that one just is that. You can see. And this one's the same. That was very easy. I think that was just the iron oxide added to that. And these ones became slightly more complicated. So they were base coated iron oxide and then just had a couple of other browns just chucked over the top. As I said, really didn't spend too long on it. And I'll show you this. Yeah, so they don't match up exactly by any means, but it looks brown, which is all that matters for when it's kind of in those shadowy areas. So I basically just spent about, I don't know, 20 minutes just going over them with iron oxide, Steel Legion Drab, Mornfang Brown and Gawthor Brown. And there we go, that is then finished. Nice quick little job there for me, which will improve the look of those houses immeasurably. So there we go, that's what I've been up to with my foreground stuff this week. And I will now show you some of the models I've been working on. Okay, so next up I'm going to show you some of the models I've been working on over the last couple of weeks. And the first one, which is finished apart from the base, is Thrain. Here he is. So it's going to play nice. There he is, Thrain the Broken. Thrain got 1 vote. Remember last week I asked you, last time I asked you to vote for the model I wanted to paint. Thrain wasn't the most popular, but by the time the video had come out, I'd already started painting him. He was the one I was most excited about doing as well. And I have to say, I really enjoyed painting this guy. Tons and tons of detail. It's a lovely, lovely sculpt. And yeah, I enjoyed it. As I think I said in the previous video, I didn't want him to just be a brown blob. And I looked at the film in some detail and the concept art, and he's actually wearing a blue coat. No, this colour's not coming out brilliantly. He's wearing a blue coat in the film. So what I basically did was make a blue coat and then tried to weather it down, which was bless me. Which was surprisingly difficult, because do you paint it, where do you put the blue in? Do you paint a blue coat and then add brown to it, or do you paint a brown coat and put some kind of blue in the shading and that sort of thing? So I eventually actually painted a blue coat and completely highlighted up like normal, and then the light's not too good actually today, sorry, and then kind of painted over the browns on top of it to kind of weather it down a bit. So yeah, it was just mucking around really with a combination of various browns and creams and stuff to get the various bits correct. So I'm really happy with them. I think it comes out well. I'm pleased with the hair. It looks grey whilst having a bit of kind of brown left in it, as opposed to just looking like grey and white, which sometimes you can. I'm very happy with him, but I haven't quite done his base yet. So that is Thrain the Broken. He is complete. Hooray. And next up was the one who was the most popular in the vote, which was Saruman. Probably still, because people are still feeling a bit sentimental perhaps about Christopher Lee Parson. But here is Saruman, who is coming along very nicely, I think. I'm very pleased with this. So he's not finished, he's still got a fair bit of work to go, but hopefully you can see that I'm very, very happy with this. I was really pleased with how the face came out. It's a beautiful, beautiful sculpt, and I'm quite pleased with it. So, as you see, the robes are they're getting some depth to them, but I'm still going to do a bit more on this. So it started off with a, what's it called? Rakarth Flesh, this one, base coat. And I was actually inspired by, is it Canis Scandalous, I think it's pronounced, sorry if I got that wrong, from the One Ring. He entered a Saruman into the Warband Challenge last year, it was last month it was the week? Yeah, last month. It was the Escape from Orthanc one, and it was great. And his colour scheme really inspired me. So I've tried to replicate that to some degree. And the shading was done with a mixture of Eshin Grey, the dark grey, and Agraxur shade, which when I mixed them together made a kind of grey browny shading, which I think worked quite well. I've often I've made a few Sarumans in the past, and I have had trouble with the kind of shading issue, because it's, if you shade it with brown, then the whole things end up looking cream rather than white. But if you shade it with a kind of black, then it ends up looking far too white and not natural. So finding some balance is kind of important. So there's still a bit of work to do here, and to kind of clean up some of these shading lines and add some more layers and more detail. But he's not actually got all that far to go. I'm going to do at least one more highlight on his hair and beards to make that go a bit whiter, and then definitely kind of spend a bit of time on the robes. But I would think it's not much more than a couple of hours work, so as long as I get a decent painting session this week, he should be finished next week. So I hope you like him. He's a lovely, lovely model. I'm very happy with how he's coming along. So that's Saruman. I also, another one that got one vote was this Gandalf, the Hobbit Gandalf, and I just basically, while I was waiting for some washes to dry, I chucked some paint on him just to get his base colour started. So it basically involved just painting the model grey, essentially, and getting his staff done. So that's just, he's going to be next, or potentially next, because this guy might be next. Hey, Elrond, who also got a vote. And I'm very, very excited about painting these guys. This guy, so he is probably going to be next on my list. So that is the decision was made that those would be my first 4 of all those heroes I showed you last time that I would get done. There we go. So Thrain's finished, Saruman's coming along nicely, and then I'll be working on these 2 afterwards. So hopefully, well, my hobby vlog next week, Saruman and Thrain will both have their bases done, and maybe I will have made some significant progress on at least one of these guys. But yeah, that's what I've been doing this week. So I hope you've enjoyed that little glimpse. Until next time, don't forget to comment, like, share and subscribe. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Support Jamie on Patreon. Support your Hobbit hobby, and happy strategy battle gaming.